On the ballots yesterday was also legalizing sports betting in several states. We have Yahoo Finance's Dan Roberts here now to talk to us about the landscapes and which states passed that initiative. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Kristen. Yeah, so we're talking about Louisiana, Maryland, and South Dakota. And that's all three of the states that last night had the question on the ballot. Now we're talking specifically about sports betting because three other states did vote yes to expand casino gaming, but that's separate. Now, what's interesting about those three states that passed it, it was decisive, the vote, but it wasn't, overwhelming, like close to 90% in any. We're talking about 59% in one of those states, 66% in another. And then interestingly, in Louisiana, they vote by parish. So all but 10 of the parishes voted yes to legalize sports betting. Now, the caveat I want to give, that doesn't mean that we flip the switch and those states now have legal sports betting. A little bit more follow-up legislation has to pass. They'll probably launch in 2021, but it does mean those three states will have legal sports betting. That brings us to a total of 27 states plus DC that have either launched or committed to launch legal sports betting. So you can see where the tide is headed, although that doesn't mean that we're just gonna, have legal sports betting across the country anytime soon. I think it'll really take a while to get to a large number of states, but the momentum is obviously there.
So you're mentioning that momentum because that's a really interesting point, because we had long talked about sports betting, you and I, way back in the days when we actually were in studio, and folks had been telling us the likelihood of legalizing sports betting around the country was probably unlikely, as we just saw that patchwork of states that were willing to legalize it. Are you reading the tea leaves, so to speak, the same way? Are you thinking that the way that the tide is going, that we actually could see legalization of sports betting all across the country, perhaps not immediately, but in the next several years, perhaps the next decade?
So just quickly, I'm glad you brought up the distinction, because there's federal legalization. That has not happened. It's not, legal at a federal level. All that happened is in 2018, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the ban, which allows each state to choose to legalize it in their own state. Now, what the pro leagues, especially the NBA, want is what you just said, for America to say it's now legal across the country at a federal level. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe never, maybe in 2 decades. A state like Utah just isn't going to do it. But I do think that a year from now, you'll see a lot more states have it. You can see that that's where the domino effect is going, state by state.